Robert Scribbler here with the Thursday, April, April the 27th session of the OBX Wave Report, where we discuss all things waves, weather, climate, and the beaches. And today we are calling the Wave Report the Extreme Ocean Heat Report because man, are the global ocean temperatures hot out there. And I did want to provide a special focus for you guys today on global ocean temperatures. The scientists are sounding rather alarmed, concerned, worried. Insert appropriate adjective as global ocean temperatures extend into a much higher than normal range with no sign of settling. These are sea surface temperatures between the bands of 60 degrees south and 60 degrees north. This does not include the polar regions, but the polar regions are also much warmer than normal, than well, as we can see in our maps, which we will look at in a minute. But yeah, I just did want to show you this quote from Dr. Robert Rode, lead scientist at Berkeley Earth. And he says, "This is getting ridiculous. OISST provides a real-time daily index of ocean surface temperatures from 60 degrees south to 60 degrees north latitude. The last month it has been continuously reading higher than in any previous year and still shows no signs of settling." And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this graphic so you guys can see the departure from the norm. So typically I don't go into like a in-depth analysis of the graphics, but each line in this graph represents a year. The dotted lines represent, well, the let's see, the dotted lines represent various means or standard deviations from the 1982 to 2011 mean, which is 1982 to 2011 mean is the central, I believe it's a central line here. Yep. So, and we can see the deviations from those means in these other dotted lines. And recent years, let's see, represented by the brown line, 2022, well outside the 2 standard deviation above normal range. And then numerous years exceeding that. And then here we have in the black line, 2023, hitting into a record range, global ocean average temperatures between 60 degrees south and 60 degrees north, now in the range of 21 degrees Celsius, which looks like it's about 0.75 degrees Celsius above the already warmer than normal 1982 through 2011 mean. So, actually, I am incorrect. In reading this graph, the 1982 to 2011 mean, okay, mea culpa, I might be reading the wrong line as the average line, but nonetheless, I'll get a clarification on this for you guys when I do my next wave report for tomorrow. But nonetheless, the record global temperatures in the graph are plainly obvious and ongoing. And we have well above normal temperatures in 2023, and there has been an ongoing trend of warming since the 1980s, which are plainly visible in the graph. And I'll go ahead and get some clarification on these standard deviation lines. I do believe that the central line is the 1980. Yeah, the central line is the 1982 through 2011 mean, just reassessing the graph here. And the standard deviation lines are here in the top dotted line and here in the bottom dotted line. So, But you can see the trend clearly with the 2022 and then 2023 line, and much warmer than normal ocean temperatures, well exceeding anything we've seen. And I do want to show you what this looks like on the Earth Null School map. And um, I guess one way to describe it would be to say that it looks like multiple El Niños are forming across the globe on the ocean surface. So here in the west of South America, in the eastern equatorial Pacific region, we've got ocean surface temperatures. Let's get into the Fahrenheit range. In the range of about 8, maybe in some locations, yep, 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. And typically this pulse from El Nino is big enough to wag the whole global climate system. But let's look at all the other places where it's much hotter than normal. Here in the North Central Pacific Ocean, we've got ocean surface temperatures in the range of close to 7 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in some of the hot pools, 11 degrees Fahrenheit off the coast of Japan. Let's see, 7 degrees Fahrenheit off the coast of the Korean Peninsula. Above normal. And then heading on off the coast of South America, we've got a warm pool in the range of 7 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. And then looking east of New Zealand, we've got another warm pool in the range of about 5.3 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. Off the US East Coast, the Gulf Stream is raging hot at around 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. South and east of Portugal and Spain, we've got ocean surface temperatures in the North Atlantic in the range of about 5.5 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. You get into the Mediterranean just north of the Sahara Desert. Sea surface temperatures also in the range of about 6 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. And let's see, do we have another hot pool? It's not hard to find hot pools because they're everywhere. And just east of the Philippines, I guess we'll just look at our last hot pool. Not quite as hot as the rest, but nonetheless about 4.2 degrees Fahrenheit above normal on the other side of the equatorial Pacific. The entire equatorial Pacific much warmer than normal. Typically with El Nino, you'll see this hot pool here in the eastern equatorial Pacific, and then you'll tend to see a cold pool here in the western equatorial Pacific as kind of a juxtaposition to it, but nope. It's just all hot. It's hot, hot. I mean, we do have some cool pools here and there, but they're diminishing, fading, small, little remnants, and interspersed between these just raging pools of heat across the global ocean system. And it's nuts. It's also worth noting that the atmosphere is rather hot as well. And today, the global atmosphere is about 0.477 degrees Celsius above normal. This is above the 1981 to 2010 reference period, which is already an above normal reference period. And there are no major regions of the globe that are cooler than normal. We've got the Antarctic at 0.638 degrees Celsius above normal. We've got the tropics at 0.334 degrees Celsius above normal. And we've got the Arctic at 0.879 degrees Celsius above normal. So all major climate regions at the surface in the atmosphere, this is a 2-meter surface temperature anomaly above normal. So the oceans are warmer than normal, and that heat is in many cases translating to the atmosphere and vice versa. There is a handshake between the fossil fuel burning that heats the atmosphere and the warming of the oceans through the interaction with the atmosphere, and then just kind of a back and forth exchange of that heat as it builds up. All right, so I did want to talk about sea ice. Now, since with the ocean waters so much warmer than normal, the notion of sea ice melt really becomes a concern. And right now, the global sea ice anomaly is minus 2,056,000 square kilometers. And right now, global sea ice anomaly is close to near record, is close to record low levels. Looks like we are about third lowest on record for the globe. 2023 has dipped into record low ranges off and on. The reason why we're concerned about sea ice is sea ice sits on those record warm oceans, and there's a lot of heat in the ocean. It tends to translate directly into the sea ice in the polar regions. Looking at the Arctic sea ice extent for 2023, you can see the present pathway of Arctic sea ice relative to recent years. And right now, we are not in record low levels for the Arctic sea ice. I think, according to Zach Labe, these visualizations provided by Zach Labe. Please go ahead and check out Zach Labe. He's one of the top Arctic observers, and we have Arctic sea ice at 11th lowest on record as of a couple of days ago. And looking at the Antarctic sea ice, the Antarctic is heading toward southern hemisphere winter, so you've got the refreeze going on. And right now, Antarctic sea ice, let's zoom in on this, I believe is at or close to record low ranges. Either very close to record low in the Antarctic or record low right now. This little purple line here showing um, the only contender for record low. Let's see what the purple line is. Uh, so yeah, it looks like an older measure for record low sea ice, but nonetheless, looks like 2023 in the contention for record low sea ice for today. So right now, Antarctic and Arctic sea ice combining to put global sea ice at third lowest on record, and Antarctic sea ice either at first or second lowest on record, and Arctic sea ice at 11th lowest on record. I did want to provide some political context. Oftentimes, people naysay talking about politics in relationship to any of the problems that we presently face, which I think is silly because we have governance for the reason of solving big problems. And if your governance can't solve big problems, then you're in trouble. And one of the reasons why we have the climate crisis is because we have anti-science voices, um, denying climate science and then serving a group of politicians that are inactivists or those that do not want to act on climate, that seek to block climate action. And I mean, of course, there's a monetary reason for it. The fossil fuel industry clearly has a stake in not acting on climate. So, lobbying pays for the anti-climate or the climate inactivists in Congress, which are basically the GOP. And then the political interest also is fueled by anti-facts, anti-science media. In this case, I'm pulling up Tucker Carlson, who said that climate scientists should be fired from their jobs because of the misrepresented content of their stolen private communications. So basically, using emails out of context to attack climate scientists. One of the climate scientists that was attacked by those who stand in the way of climate action was Dr. Michael Mann. So I think that this tweet by Dr. Michael Mann is pretty much right on point, as he was the target of anti-science communication by the likes of Tucker Carlson, recently fired from Fox News and others. And I'm just going to read My quote as well here, directly related to the climate crisis and record global temperatures, the anti-science attacks by those that were platformed by Fox News, such as Tucker Carlson, anti-science breeds inaction. Okay, so a roundup of record ocean heat. Um, I do want to look closer to the USA right now and talk a little bit about the record heat near our coastlines. We've got some hot waters in the Gulf of Mexico, but those have been tamped down a bit by the storminess. When the storms run through, they churn up the waters and cause upwelling. So some of the near coastal waters in the Gulf of Mexico cooling off a bit to a little bit cooler than normal. But we still have warm waters in the Gulf of Mexico in the range of, looks like, in many cases between 1 and 3 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, but nonetheless slightly cooler with the storminess out there in the Gulf. Off the U.S. East Coast, we have much warmer than normal temperatures, particularly in the Gulf Stream. Gulf Stream has just been raging hot lately, with temperatures in the 9 degrees Fahrenheit, 8 to 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal range, and then much broader area of 1 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit above normal waters off the US East Coast. And then out in the Caribbean, we've got this pool of warmer than normal waters in the range of 2 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. And then getting out into the tropical North Atlantic, we've got ocean water temperatures in the range of 1 to, looks like 4, close to 4 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. So the reason why I'm going through this is the region where hurricanes form. And though we have El Nino in the equatorial Pacific, which will tend to tweak the atmosphere to generate more wind shear that will chop the hurricanes and tropical cyclones apart, with all that extra ocean heat, we've got fuel for the storms. So we're going to have to just keep an eye on the ocean. Never turn your back on the ocean, right? Well, never turn your back on the much hotter than normal Atlantic Ocean, which could spew out much more powerful than normal hurricanes. All right, so getting into the OBX wave report for today, looking more at waves and weather and some of the long-term weather forecasts. Right now, we've got a swirl of cloud over the U.S. Southeast. It is tapping into those warmer than normal waters over the Gulf and the North Atlantic to develop energy for firing off severe weather over the Gulf Coast region and the U.S. Southeast. And you can see those storms firing in the enhanced cloud tops satellite picture provided by Tropical Tidbits, with what looks like a line of very severe thunderstorms raging just east of New Orleans, getting into parts of Alabama and the panhandle of Florida, and just some general rain and storminess over the southeast in association with that disturbed weather as well. We do have an impulse of cooler air moving down over the Rockies, and that's helping to provide that instability for those storms. As that cool air slams into the warmer than normal waters over the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic, you can get some real unstable air, and that's what we're getting. We're getting instability in the atmosphere, which is helping to fire off those storms. I do want to focus in on these storms in the National Weather Service radar picture, and we do have some alerts up for right now. The let's see, Baldwin County, Alabama, just west of the Florida Panhandle, and look at this, lighting up like a Christmas tree. Special marine warning, severe thunderstorm watch, rip current statements, flash flood warnings, and flood advisories. So very severe weather in association with a line of storms streaming in from the Gulf of Mexico, and then out in the waters, those severe storms ripping through as well. And let's see, getting up here into the Outer Banks, we do have some small craft advisories starting to pick up. Let's see, do we have, yeah, we got a gale watch here just off of Nags Head region. We've got a lot of storminess. This frontal system that has been stalled across the southeast is just providing some severe weather and risk of severe weather. Here across the Outer Banks right now, we've got waves in the range of 2 to 7 feet with a relatively brisk onshore flow in the range of 10 to 30 miles per hour. I wouldn't call it a nor'easter, but it's definitely easterly, strong easterly winds coming in off the North Atlantic. And right now, for the wave report, we've got 2 to 4 foot waves at Jeanette's Pier, a 2.5 foot swell coming in out of the east northeast at 12 seconds. That is the primary swell, and the secondary swell coming in out of the east southeast at 4 seconds at 2 feet. That is the secondary swell. Winds right now at Jeanette's Pier out of the east southeast at 16 miles per hour. Air temperature is 61 degrees Fahrenheit. It's cloudy with some scattered drizzle about. Ocean water temperature is 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Weather conditions for today: cloudy with a 50% chance of showers, highs in the lower 60s, east winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. And we've already exceeded that with those 16-mile-per-hour winds coming in off the coast. I'm sorry, off the Atlantic Ocean. And heading on down south to Avon, we've got rather larger waves here at Avon in the 4 to 6 foot range, with a primary swell coming in out of the east northeast at 12 seconds. That has a 4.5 foot swell. Secondary swell coming in out of the southeast at 16 seconds. That is a 0.3 foot swell. Winds out of the east southeast at 20 miles per hour. That is an onshore flow. Air temperature is 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Ocean water temperature is 67 at Avon. Warming up a bit down there. Weather forecast for today at Avon: cloudy with a 50% chance of showers. East winds 15 to 30 miles per hour. Highs in the middle 60s. And yep, so generally cloudy, stormy and windy down there at Avon with some big waves, likely very choppy. And then heading on down south to Buxton, we've got 6 to 7 foot waves with primary swell coming in at 12 seconds at 4.5 feet out of the east. Secondary swell coming in at 16 seconds at 0.3 feet out of the southeast. Winds 25 miles per hour out of the east. I'm sorry, 23 miles per hour out of the east. That is an onshore flow. Air temperature is 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Ocean water temperature is 68, which is a tick down from yesterday, possibly getting tamped down a little bit by that precipitation. Although the Gulf Stream is getting blown closer and closer to shore, so we might see those temperatures pop up again. Weather forecast for Buxton: cloudy with a 50% chance of showers, highs in the middle 60s, east winds 25 to 30 miles per hour. And that rounds up our local observations. Let's get into some longer range forecasts. And right now for the US East, we do expect storminess to continue over the next 7 days. This primarily focusing in on the next 5 days as two major, well, I would say major, yeah, two storm systems are threatening to bring severe weather, rain, some winds, some storms to the US East Coast. And then looking at the longer range forecasts, we have cooler than normal conditions projected for the US East, warmer than normal conditions projected for the US Northwest, and cooler than normal conditions projected for the US Southwest, focused on California. Precipitation is expected to be above normal for the U.S. West and below normal for a large swath of the north central U.S. and U.S. Southeast, with above normal precipitation in the 6 to 10 day outlook for parts of Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, upper New York, and upper Massachusetts. All right, getting into the convective outlooks right now for today, we have a potential for severe weather in sections of the Gulf Coast and Southeast region, including, let's see, it looks like northern Mississippi, parts of eastern Arkansas, northwest Alabama, and southwest Tennessee, parts of the Gulf Coast region near the Florida Panhandle, along the Florida East Coast and parts of the Georgia Southeast Coast, and then along the southeast coast of Texas. And it looks like we've got about 33 million people under the potential for severe weather today. So if severe weather threatens, please pay attention to your local weather and emergency management folk and do what you can to protect life should that severe weather be rolling on in. All right, and then looking at tomorrow, East Texas once again coming under the gun for severe weather with a chance of thunderstorms across parts of the east, possibly some of them severe. And then for the day 3 convective outlook, we've got a chance of thunderstorms for the U.S. Southeast and a slight chance of severe thunderstorms or a marginal chance of severe thunderstorms over the Gulf Coast regions of Southeast Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle. All right, getting into our wave forecast. Right now, waves are in the range of 4 feet in the near offshore environment. This is for Thursday. And as we get into tomorrow, we expect some southeasterly winds to come in and kick up that surf to around 8 feet. I said southeasterly winds. Yep, looks like southeasterly winds. I just wanted to confirm that for you guys. Um, so yeah, near offshore waves expected to kick up tomorrow with some southeasterly winds. That's likely to be choppy for most of the Outer Banks. Then as we get into Saturday, waves calm down a bit into the 6.5 foot range, and with winds calming down as well out of the west. Actually, Saturday looks like a great day for waves. Big waves on Saturday with a light westerly wind means glassy conditions, so these could be nice big hollow waves on Saturday. And then as we get into Sunday, I think conditions are expected to again shift. So I want to look at the early day on Sunday. So I think early morning on Sunday, mm, yeah, we got those southerly winds coming in the early morning on Sunday. So Um, I think early morning Sunday, there might be a brief window where there are good waves in some beaches, particularly for a place where I like to surf, Jeanette's Pier. But then as the day progresses, we get stronger southerly winds moving in, chopping up the waves. So we do have a nice wave window on Saturday and early Sunday, but then choppier surf later in the day. And then as we get into Monday, looks like a south and southeast swell remains, but with winds coming out of the west, looks like the waves might be a bit nicer. It depends on the angle of the winds. If the winds are primarily west, then we'll have more hollow waves. Although with 10 to 20 mile an hour, it might be a little choppy, but still pretty hollow. So it does look like Saturday and Monday might be good wave days for the Outer Banks, with waves in the range of 6 feet and winds blowing in from the west. And then yep. And that concludes our wave forecast. All right, so thank you for joining me for this session of the OBX Wave Report where, wow, the oceans look super crazy hot, and that affects us all. So as I always do, I'm going to ask you guys to please do everything you can to help speed the transition to clean energy. The primary driver of the excess ocean heat that we see right now is fossil fuel burning. And the primary solution to fossil fuel burning is a rapid transition to clean energy. Clean energy being wind, water, solar, and electric vehicles. These are the energy systems that are presently rapidly deployable. And we have these technologies available now and we can do it. So please, please, please do everything you can. I'm here on the coastline and many of us live very close to the coast and we are affected by damage to the coasts. And the primary threats to the coastlines are coming from sea level rise, more severe storms, and ocean acidification, all of them driven by fossil fuel burning, all of these threats which can be reduced or removed by transitioning to clean energy and getting to net zero, and then net negative carbon emissions. So thank you for joining me for this session of the OBX Wave Report. We're going to do our best to get out in the waves and get some video for you guys, and I will be